This is an extract from the Leader podcast by the Evening Standard. The whole thing is available on all major podcast providers.
Will you resign, Mr. Cummings?
Are you going to resign, Mr. Cummings?
So this is what greeted Dominic Cummings as he left home for work this morning.
What are the relationships at Downing Street?
Anything to say on Lee Cain's departure?
And it went on while he trudged silently to a waiting taxi.
Is it bad for the country to have tension in Downing Street, Mr. Cummings?
Number 10's top advisor is still in his job for now, but something seems to be afoot in Downing Street. Boris Johnson's Director of Communications, Lee Cain, has quit, apparently after losing a power battle involving the new press secretary, Allegra Stratton. Rumours abound that the Vote Leave contingent, which includes Cain and Cummings, is being squeezed out. It's all great Westminster gossip, but what's really happening? Our deputy political editor, Nicholas Cecil's with me now. Nicholas, are we seeing the wheels coming off the Boris bus, or is this a new era coming? Maybe one with a bit more control behind it?
Well, at this stage, it's quite hard to tell exactly where things are going. But what's clear is that there is serious infighting at the heart of Downing Street. Lee Cain, the Director of Communications, is going. But now Tory MPs are also calling for Dominic Cummings, who's Mr. Johnson's key but very controversial top advisor. They want him to go as well. As one senior Tory MP told the Evening Standard this morning, if they've got rid of one of the Cray brothers, they've got to get rid of Cummings as well. So things are very, very heated between MPs, number 10 advisors, and in Downing Street as well.
And both Cain and Cummings are prominent members of the Vote Leave contingent in the government. All this is happening as Brexit deadlines bear down on Boris Johnson. It can't be any worse timing, can it?
Yes, no, it's absolutely dreadful timing. Not only are we in the middle of the second COVID-19 wave, but also the government is having to strike a deal with Brussels in a matter of weeks. And obviously the infighting in Downing Street is making Boris Johnson's situation weaker. He's having to negotiate with his top aides at each other's throats. And there's a danger, though, that Brussels may misread the situation and just think that they can demand a very, very big concession from Boris Johnson on the talks, not realising that he could still go for no deal.
I don't know whether you saw this earlier, Nick, but there was a photo doing the rounds on social media today of Allegra Stratton, the new press secretary, in the back of an official car at Downing Street. And she had the window wound down so photographers could get a look at it. Now, for all I know, Nick, it might have been very hot in that car. Or maybe she understood the power of the image of her at Downing Street on a morning like this of all mornings could have. She's in the back seat of that car, Nick, but is she in the driving seat in Downing Street now?
I wouldn't say she's in the driving seat, but she is a very smart operator. And one of the long criticisms of Boris Johnson's government is that it has been very male-centric. And what appears to have happened is that Mr. Cain was on track to become Chief of Staff for Mr. Johnson, but that a number of women in number 10 oppose that, including Mr. Johnson's fiancée, Carrie Symonds, and Allegra Stratton, who is due to host Downing Street's televised press conferences from January.
Now, regardless of what happens, it's pretty clear that Boris Johnson needs to show that he's in control now. Can he do that?
He can, and there are hopes amongst many Tory MPs that if Mr. Cummings goes and Mr. Cain has gone as well, Boris Johnson can become the Mayor of London kind of leader, which many people admired and saw he did a good job at City Hall.
One thing we've noticed on the podcast over the last few months is that it's still not even been a year since the general election when Boris Johnson got that 80-seat majority, and yet he keeps looking vulnerable in that position as Prime Minister.
Yes, certainly once Boris got that stunning election victory with an 80-seat majority, he should be safe and be able to basically govern as he wishes. But things have changed quite dramatically. First of all, there's now a proper leader of the opposition. The Tory MPs, a number of them are feeling far more rebellious and not particularly loyal to the Prime Minister. And also, if Mr. Johnson looks across the Atlantic, he can see his fellow populist in the form of Donald Trump on his way out of the White House. So it's a very different picture.
And you can read more about this in the Evening Standard newspaper or online at standard.co.uk. Follow our live blog to keep up with breaking news. That's the Leader Podcast. We're back tomorrow.